What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt. He is Mike Wallace. Mike, go ahead. Let's get off task, baby. Let's go. Let's go ahead and get off topic, man.
CJ, we got so much coming up in today's show, man. It's hard to get off topic because I want us to get to everything. I can't wait, man. We got a lot going on. HBCU season, week 1, your favorite week of the season. Forget this week 0 nonsense.
Should be week 2, but whatever.
Week 1 is upon us, man, and I can't wait to get to it. So I'm going to try not to get us distracted today.
All right, well, are you all right at least? You good? Because usually I ask how you doing, and then we get off. There
we go. No, I'm good. I'm good. I came in, everything's good. You know what I mean? Got everybody off to school well, and so far so good, man. Nothing threw me off today. What's throwing you off today?
I forgot my lunch and my card. So I had to figure out how.
Meaning credit card or security card to get in the building?
My card with the money on it.
Okay.
So I don't have it. Right. I didn't have any food here.
Yeah.
Because I didn't bring it, and I didn't have the monies to get food. But
so you hangry? You hangry?
No, Mike. We wouldn't be doing this show if I was hangry. When I get hungry, and I see now we're off. If I get hungry and I get sleepy, I'm out.
You're out. Okay, all right.
There's all types of food downtown. One of the benefits of working downtown, I do have a Cash App, so I found a little hot dog cart. Got me a couple chili cheese dogs. I'm good to go.
See, I don't even have. See, that's the thing. I don't even have Cash App. I don't have Cash App.
Venmo, PayPal.
I don't have any of that. All I have is Zelle. Right.
That'll work.
And that's intentional. That's intentional. So I don't want easy access to my money like that, man. I might be too tempted.
All I have is Cash App.
Okay.
Right. Like if you get one, you're good to go. Because if you take one, you probably take the others. All that to say, Mike.
So you can just Cash App the hot dog dude.
Yeah, the hot dog lady. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, right up there, court.
So you got some vittles.
I got some vittles in me.
All
Mike.
right. So now we go. We got some fuel. We got some fuel
to
go,
man. And thankfully so, because we got, like you said, a jam-packed show. Donal Ware, curator of the Boxer Roll Poll, is going to be joining us in the next segment. We got week 0 recap and a look ahead to week 1 with him. We're all speaking of week 1. We got our football pick 6 back. We'll be picking winners for 6 games in the HBCU ranks for week 1. The Orange Blossom Classic is this weekend, so we figured we'd share our conversation from SWAC Media Day with Executive Director of the Orange Blossom Classic, Kendra Bullock Major, and we got so much more. But first, Mike, FAMU held on to win, didn't it?
Oh, they definitely did, man. They held on, but they came back to win. Down 14-0, man. And let me start right here, man. Shout out to all of the new HBCU Huddle listeners and viewers. Thanks a lot for the love and the support that you guys showed when I was in Atlanta, man. And I know we handed out 1,000 different, flyers and information. We shared some things during some of the panel discussions. It was great to be in that city. It was great to promote our Grind City Media and HBCU Huddle. You guys are going to catch it and see it in a second, the recap. But man, it was a thrilling game. Yeah. And the attendance was over 22,000, which was great. And then the viewership set a record because it was on ABC for the MEAC SWAC Challenge. So it's only getting bigger and better every year. And we had a blast, man. We had a blast representing down there.
Mike, you talked about it. There's a video. Let's look at the video. These are the sights and the sounds Mike was kind enough to get from MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff.
If Florida A&M and Coach Colsey had any reservations about how difficult repeating and defending their Black College National Championship was going to be this season, they found out in week 0, surviving a hard-fought victory against Norfolk State right here in Atlanta on Saturday with a 24-23 victory. Coach Dawson Odom of Norfolk State essentially handed Florida A&M the game with a controversial decision not to kick an extra point to tie the game with 6 minutes left. All FAMU had to do with MVP quarterback Daniel Richardson was simply run out the clock, and that's exactly what they did. Florida A&M is now 1-0, and Coach Colsey had this to tell us after the game.
Happy to get a win. We got some things we need to clean up. Even though we were down 14-0, we had a chance to put them away, before we had that fumble. So got some things to work on. Extremely happy to be on the right side, but if we want to continue, we got to play better ball.
How does it feel to get your first victory and then going into another big game against South Carolina State at home?
Excited anytime you win. It's just our guys are realizing, they realized tonight that it's hard to win football games. So our guys did a great job. got a lot of stuff to clean up, but excited to be 1-0, and that's what it's all about.
Coach Colsey isn't the only one with big shoes to fill, having to step in as a first-year coach, replacing Willie Simmons. Quarterback Daniel Richardson is also stepping in for All-American quarterback Jeremy Musa, who moved on. Richardson talked about the challenge of stepping in to fill some pretty big shoes, but he also held that MVP trophy in his hands as he caught up with HBCU Huddle right here.
Man, we started slow. You know, last year they said in the championship, they were down 14-0 in Atlanta. I don't know something about Atlanta, but at the end of the day, we were cool, calm, and collective. I told the guys on the sideline with 14 down, we done been here before. I mean, even though I didn't play here last year, but at the end of the day, I done been in situations like this. And, you know, we just went down, got some momentum and, you know, capitalized.
You stepped right in. I mean, you had some pretty big shoes to fill. Obviously, Coach Colsey has some big shoes to fill. How important is it to continue this momentum that FAMU has been on with the special run coming off the championship last season?
At the end of the day, a lot of guys, I mean, on this team is champions. You know, we got a lot of incoming transfers that came over the summer. And at the end of the day, they just keep preaching to us, man. Take one day at a time. At the end of the day, we're champions. And you see what we did today. At the end of the day, now we got to go to the next one.
All right, week 0 is behind you. You got a big game coming up, South Carolina State coming to Tallahassee. What do you have to do to sort of continue that and stay on point? I mean, you had a very, very efficient passing game. You know, you guys showed some defense when you needed to. How important is it with this big target on your back to keep that going?
One thing, we don't lose that brag. I mean, I know that for sure. But at the end of the day, at South Carolina State, I mean, they're a great team. So, you know, they're going to come, they will give us our best shot. And at the end of the day, we got to stick to our fundamentals. And, you know, at the end of the day, just keep making plays on both sides of the ball and even special teams, which we did today. All
right, Richardson, show the fans and everybody that MVP trophy, man. Grind City Media, HBCU Huddle, Daniel Richardson right here, the MVP. Good luck the rest of the season, brother. Grind City Media is always on the scene for HBCU football with our HBCU Huddle, and we had a lot of fun hanging out in Atlanta as we spread the word. So jump on board. We're going to be every single week for the rest of the HBCU football season, handing out different flyers and information about HBCU Huddle. But all you got to do is follow Grind City Media and log on to the Grind City Media app and keep it locked on us all season long. From Atlanta, I'm Michael Wallace for Grind City Media and the HBCU Huddle.
So many things to talk about, Mike, so many things to get to. You brought up the record-setting TV viewership numbers, and it was 1.3 million viewers tuned in. Most viewed MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff ever, surpassed the previous high set in 2010 by nearly 30%. Stephen Gaither of HBCU Game Day and others have that story up and running right now. So many things to get to and talk to you about, but first, like, the bands were still playing how long after the game?
Man, you know how it is with the fifth quarter.
I love it.
The fifth quarter, the sixth quarter, the seventh quarter. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where I was like, man, listen, I got to shoot this recap. You know what I mean? And so what I had to do was, you know, you had Norfolk State band behind one end zone.
Yeah.
FAMU's band was behind the other end zone. So what I did was when FAMU was playing, I ran down to Norfolk State side and said, let me stand over here to do this. And then I switched up and went the other way when it was the other turn. So, you know, it was good to hear it, though, man. It gave you that ambiance and let you know that, hey, this is Black college football. This is what it's all about. The band is going to have an effort there. FAMU's band is back to not just the Marching 100. They're back to the 300. They're back. Dude, when we saw FAMU get ready to take the field, they actually lined up on the outskirts of the sidelines all the way around the field.
No.
Like literally all the way around the field.
Is that many?
It's that many again. Now, again, like I remember last time they got up their numbers past 250, it was some eligibility issues, and they was taking in FSU band members and Tallahassee Community College band members, and they got in a little trouble for that. But if this is legit, man, that band is back strong again. Norfolk State did a tremendous job, but it's hard to go up against FAM when they could just have that presence of such a lethal, deep marching band. So, yeah, the bands were definitely there, man, and both teams did a great job. Both bands did a phenomenal job.
We talked about it some on the Jessica Benson Show, another Grind City Media subsidiary.
There you go.
About the decision to go for 2.
Okay,
you're not a fan of that decision.
I absolutely am not a fan of that decision because, again, Dawson Odoms is a coach that, I mean, this is his make or break year.
Yeah.
If you're going to make that decision, it better work out. Because when it doesn't work out, yes, you're going to take the blame. You're going to take the responsibility for it. But you don't have to chase 2 with 6.5 minutes left. You're going to get the ball back. My issue was with him chasing 2 then. But it became a bigger issue. You know, when they say the crime is one thing, the cover up is the other.
Yeah.
The way he tried to explain his way out of it was even more mind-boggling, because he said, I don't think I had guys that were capable of holding up physically to play the rest of this game. So we went for 2 to go ahead and win it, because we had guys cramping up, coming off to the sidelines.
They were throwing up a lot.
They were, and that's true.
Any clue what was going on? This is a completely different topic entirely. Any clue what that was about?
I mean, it was the first game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? FAMU is used to playing in the humidity and the heat.
Yeah.
You know, Norfolk State is hot. It's hot everywhere. But when you're in FAMU, when you're in Florida,
that
you're
humidity
used to
is
it.
different.
Right. And so even though the game was a night game, these guys were still playing in temperatures on the field that had to be close to 100 degrees, right? So that part of it is true. But the fact that you don't think your guys were going to hold up, they still had to play 6.5 minutes no matter what. You still had to put guys on the field no matter what for the last 6.5 minutes. To go for it right there when Fam was going to get the ball back anyway, it didn't make sense. You play for the tie, and then you say, okay, let's figure out what we need to do on our last drive. And, you know, I think he put the game, he made the decision right there, and the game was lost in that moment, because when those guys didn't get it, they didn't have anything left mentally or physically to try to overcome what FAMU was doing.
Yeah, let's go to the HBCU Huddle Player of the Week. I did this one. I don't know who you voted for MVP of the MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff.
Richardson. Yeah.
I went with the receiver. I went with Gassett.
Okay.
I went with Gassett. 8 catches, 110 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, 148 all-purpose yards, roughly 37%, which we can round up to 40%, roughly 40% of that team's offensive production. I think Richardson did a fine job at quarterback, but if he isn't running around, if Gassett isn't running around out there, running the routes with the hands and creating the separation, I'm not sure what that FAMU offense would have been like or been able to do. I don't think Richardson is the type of quarterback who you can say, all right, hop on my back, I'm going to carry you down the field. I don't think he's like an Akil Glass or anything like that. So I went ahead and went with Gassett, who said his last name is Gassett for a damn reason. All gas, no brakes, baby. So I was like, all right, man. Preseason all SWAC, second team, wide receiver and return man. Gassett was my player of the game, and thus my player of the week.
And you know, it's hard to argue with that. You know what I mean? It's one of those. See, I went with Richardson because I really believe that. Now, when you said it the way you said it, it made sense, because there were a couple of passes where Gassett had already created the separation, was wide open. He just needed to wait for the ball to come to him, right? In that situation, it wasn't about Richardson putting the ball on the money and hitting the receiver in stride. But he made plays and he kept drives going at a time when that game was still undecided. So just his leadership, just the fact that he stepped in there for his first start and was able to do what he did, almost passed for 300 yards, accounted for 3 touchdowns, picked up some key first downs with scrambling. I think he's right there in terms of. So the HBCU National Player of the Week was Daniel Richardson. Our HBCU Huddle Player of the Week was Gaston. And you know, again, you can't argue with either one of those selections.
Absolutely, absolutely. Delaware State just would be remiss of me. Hey, hand clap. That was impressive. 3 quarters, tied game, and then the wheels kind of fall off late. But to deal with the travel issues that they dealt with, flying from Delaware, from one coast to Hawaii, from the East Coast, not one coast, the East Coast to Hawaii, to deal with the travel issues they dealt with, getting there a day late. They could have mailed it in and been like, hey, we just here to get a check and hang out. And no, those young men went out there and competed and gave Hawaii everything they could handle.
They did.
So shout out to them.
Absolutely. It was a 1-possession game, you know, in the fourth quarter, and they had a chance, man. And it's one of those deals. You're playing up a level, plus you're going across the country and then across the Pacific. It was a lot to overcome, man. At Delaware State, if they can bottle that kind of effort up, then there's going to be another team making a case for playing a strong season in the MEAC this season.
Overall, I think it was a net positive week 0 for the MEAC. We can talk to Donal more about that. I'll share some of my thoughts about week 0 from a MEAC perspective in that next segment. But week 0 is over. It's time for week 1. Let's look at our week 1 game of the week. It's the Labor Day Classic, Mike. I love when we get these Daytona 500 style games, where these games that mean so much. No, we don't need to wait. We don't need to delay these. We don't need to hold off on these. Let's play them immediately. Let's go. I love these types of games. Texas Southern versus Prairie View A&M. Texas Southern leads the series all time, 44-34-1. The first game was played in 1947. Prairie View A&M looking to get their 10th straight win in the Labor Day Classic. I love this. I look forward to sitting down and watching these two play, and I'm assuming it's one of the games on ESPN Plus or HBCU. I'm assuming I'll be able to watch this game. Prairie View A&M going for 10, Mike.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
That is impressive, and you're talking about, you know, Prairie View A&M is a team that should be making some noise in the SWAC West right there, right? So this gives you the inside track. You got two coaches there, former defensive backs for the Houston Oilers, coaching Prairie View, and then Chris Dishman in his first year at Texas Southern. So you know there's going to be a defensive bent. There's going to be a toughness to this game. There's going to be, you know, this is going to feel almost like the SWAC West is up for grabs on championship weekend right now, right? And you get this right off the top. Whoever loses, their season isn't over. A lot of things happen and tend to happen in the SWAC, but you certainly are in the pole position if you can get this win, especially in the West with so many things up in the air. 4 out of the 5 coaches in the league are in their first year and on that side of the division. And it's one of those things where, man, you know, these teams, they have some issues. They're rivals. They're Texas rivals. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that game plays out. There's a couple other out there on the schedule, too, that we'll get to later. But you got to start in Texas, and everything is bigger in Texas. It's going to be a big matchup.
Speaking of everything being bigger, Donal Ware, cousin of the show, is coming on. We're getting a bigger version of HBCU Huddle, if you can believe that. He'll be on with us next. Don't go anywhere.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
GG gonna be just fine, bro. Like he probably, like, Josh probably number 1, and he's probably number 2 most talented teammates I've ever had.
Just raw talent.
Like, bro, like,
just go to the gym, hoop type talent.
Like, you walk in the gym and he might be doing a workout, and you're gonna look over and be like, damn.
The Chris Vernon Show, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering, to those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back in, everybody. CJ Hurt, Mike Wallace, HBCU Huddle in the Built for Tough Studios on Grind City Media, on the app, on the YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts at. Give us a follow, a shout, a like. And speaking of following, shouting, and liking, follow Donal Ware. Shout out Donal Ware. Like Donal Ware. Donal Ware, curator of the Box to Row polls, host of the Box to Row radio show on Sirius XM, joins us now. Donal, how's it going, man?
Man, it's all good. How you guys doing, man? I love what you got going on, the sponsorship, all of that, man. It's great. I'm glad to be back on with you guys.
Hey, well, I tell you what, man, we talking about loving what each other is doing. We definitely love what you've been doing for 2 decades now. Congratulations on the 20th anniversary of Box to Row. Man, you've done it with the biggest newsmakers, the biggest sports athletes across all sports, across pop culture. Man, I'm telling you, Donal, look, man, I remember when you started it. We go back that far. And to see that you look up and it's 20 years later, man, doing what you're doing, bringing a nation, all of our top stories and best stories in HBCU and beyond, African-American culture and beyond, man. Just what does it feel like for you to have built that legacy over the last 2 decades?
Wow, Mike. And first of all, I appreciate the kind words you gave in terms of the release that was put out. I don't know, man. It just started as wanting to put HBCU sports out there a little bit more, especially on the national radio side. I'm a big Jim Rome fan. You know, Tony Kornheiser when he had his show, but nobody was talking about HBCU sports. Mike in the morning. And so that's just something that we wanted to do. I'll be honest, man. When I started out, I was terrible. You know, I had Serena Williams on in 2007. It may have been the worst interview ever. It was terrible. And I'm asking Serena now for a redo. Like, you know, we're in this campaign and putting stuff together. We're replaying a bunch of interviews that we had from back in the day. I need a redo of an interview with Serena Williams. But no, we you know, I guess just infusing the HBCU pop culture, you know, just likes of music and all of those things into something and just trying to give it to the people, man. So that's it, man. That's all it is to it.
I think I don't want to speak for everybody out there, but youth and people early on in your careers in this field, if you're listening, I think most of us were pretty damn bad to start. Steph Curry once looked me in my face and said, "No disrespect, that's the worst question ever." Like in the middle of a press conference, it's like, oh, okay, I need to figure this thing out. But it's amazing that you've made it. A lot of people start these types of projects off with the best of intentions and aren't able to continue it for 20 years. What's been the biggest contributor to the success that you've had with Box to Row?
Yeah, it's just a grind, man. You know, that's the thing about it. Like, you know, we just want to bring, I don't know if not wanting to disappoint people. In other words, I think you make a great point there. If you're going to do something, you do it, right? Like, that's just, society's not that way as much as it once was. And despite challenges, I mean, there have been many challenges, particularly from a financial standpoint. Mm-hmm. It was just about doing it every week in terms of the show, every day in terms of updates in the website and the knowledge and all of those things, man. So, and I've got, you know, my family's been huge in this. Like, I've got my 4 children, 3 of them still in the household. They do a bunch of stuff associated with my daughter's got the whole TikTok thing where I'm not I'm of a certain age. See the gray? I'm of a certain age.
Wait, y'all, Box to Row on the Tickety Talk?
Yes, we're on the TikTok now.
Let me get Box to Row a follow on the Tickety Talk.
Yes, she's doing that. She's 16, got the TikTok rolling and all that. So, yes, we're here, but there have been so many people that have allowed for us to get to this point. So we're obviously very grateful about it.
Man, Donald, I know from, you mentioned Serena Williams, Doug Williams, you know, I mean, all the celebrities and entertainers. You had the Braxtons on there. I know that they're near and dear to your heart because of the proximity with them being from Bowie, Maryland, and, you know, obviously you being from out that area too, you know, a DMV guy. Last week, it's funny, man, and we're going to get to HBCU football in a second.
At some point, we got to talk football eventually.
But I'm just going to tell you how your interviews resonate, man, because, you know, my wife and I, like, she's catching up on Power right now, right? And I told her, I was like, man, let me get my man Donald on the text or the phone right quick so he could tell you all about Woody McClain, man, because he just had the brother on the show earlier this year, man. So when you talk about, you know, guys that are like, obviously he's a star. This is a guy that's a star in the making. He made his name when he played Bobby Brown, obviously in the New Edition and Bobby Brown movies, but now to play Kane in Power. When you talk about that interview, I just wanted to ask you about that one because I know my wife might be listening and watching at some point. What was that interview like with him, and just being able to you know, get to know him a little bit more in terms of his journey?
It was really cool because the character he plays is go hard. You understand what I'm so, you know, for him to be, and he, you know, he's nothing like that. He's really, really cool to talk with him about being part of the Marching 100. You know, his days at Florida A&M, you know, to your point, his career, and even at that time when we did the conversation, you know, Power, I mean, it's still hot, but it was like mega hot at that time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it was a lot of fun to really talk with him and really get to know him. And that's sort of the thing, man. Like, I think one of the things that we've tried to do at Box to Row, I never wanted to be the person. Like I'm really naturally a shy person, quite honestly. But it's all about the message that whoever we're talking to is conveying to the audience, and that's the only thing that I'm interested in doing, man. So it's good. It was really good to talk with Woody McClain, no doubt.
We will talk football.
Oh yeah,
because that's we always bring Donald.
We're still in the huddle. We're still in the huddle right now. We're still in the huddle getting the play right. We're getting the play set.
We are absolutely going to get delay a game. We are absolutely, because this next question coming from me is not about football. But Donald, we talked some about the interview that you dislike the most, the interview that you struggle with the most, that Serena interview you're trying to get the redo. What are some of the interviews that you like, oh no, I nailed that one, that was a great interview? And who are some of the better interviews, so people who are listening to our show and listening to you right now know, okay, when I finish listening to this, I will go find this interview from Donal Ware on Box to Row?
Man, let me tell you. Oh, it's a couple of them. Let me tell you, the most contentious interview was with Monique. I'll start there. Was with Monique. It was crazy. I'd invite everybody to kind of go check that one. It was good radio, but it's very contentious for whatever reason. When we're just trying to be positive and talk with her about different things, and it just was a contentious interview. Jadakiss twice. Now, it's hard to get Jadakiss.
You got Jadakiss twice?
Twice? Oh, man, that was like a dream. I thought that was a really good conversation. Cool G Rap was a really good conversation. And then to be able to talk to someone that, in terms of rappers, to me, the greatest to ever do it, I'm maybe partial, Scarface.
You celebrated early.
I celebrated too early, Donald. I was giving you the fist up in the air. I was giving you the pumper. And I was like, oh, I know he's going to drop it, but you didn't. You went Scarface, but I can live with it. I can do it.
Who'd you think?
Man, come on, bro. Rakim, man. R.
Yes. Okay, so yes, Rakim was good, but the Scarface, we had Rakim. It was a really good conversation. We talked with him about the Giants and some other things related to sports. But the Scarface interview, listen, you all are familiar with that song, This Can't Be Life.
Yeah.
Right? With Jay-Z. And if that's not one of the greatest raps in terms of Scarface's parts of all time, and deepest raps. Like, he came into that thing having written lyrics for this song, and then his he had a friend whose child had passed away, and he changed that whole thing to what it came out to be. It's deep, man, and it was just an honor to talk with Scarface. But it's been so many. Josh Stone was really, really good. It's been quite a few.
Yep. All right, now we're gonna break the huddle. Let's get to the huddle. Let's get to the line of scrimmage, man.
We got like 4 minutes.
we're fourth and 24 right now. You know what I'm saying? When you look at, all right, we just talked about before you came on, we talked about week 0 and MEAC SWAC Challenge and everything that happened there. FAMU survived it, but now as you go into week 1 and everybody is in action and everybody is playing, give me the game that you're looking forward to the most, and what is the biggest storyline that you're looking forward to the most in HBCU football?
Yeah, I like, as I think most people do, the Alabama State and the Alabama State North Carolina Central game. I think when you look at Alabama State, to me, Alabama State's the team to beat. Now, I get it. A lot of people voted for FAMU because FAMU won it last year, defending national champs. If you look at FAMU, and it was a good comeback, because I think the MEAC as a whole is going to be much better. Norfolk State, I think, is going to be good. South Carolina State with Chennis Berry is going to be good. I really like Morgan State, also in the MEAC. But I think when you look at this Alabama State team and you look at the talent, I don't know if there's a more talented team in HBCU football than is Alabama State. That said, North Carolina Central is, what did I have? I think 5-1 since 2021 on nationally televised games, meaning ESPN, meaning ABC, et cetera, including the victory over Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl going back a couple of years ago. So I think that's the game to watch. I really, really like Alabama State. I think it's a true test for obviously both teams, but in particular for Alabama State, because they're the team I would have picked to finish number 1. So that's definitely the game that I'm looking forward to most this week.
I'm glad that you brought up or said the things you said about the MEAC, because I left week 0 and the biggest winner to me, even though they lost both games, was the MEAC. I think that when you look at how Delaware State competed after dealing with the off-field diversity that they've dealt with this week, plus playing up a division and having Hawaii right there in the fourth quarter, a chance to knock them off, I thought that was really impressive. And if they can get off of the field, you're supposed to get another possession. If you're Coach Odom's in Norfolk State, if you can get Florida A&M off the field that last 6-minute drive, you've got a chance to win it, right? And so it's like, oh, okay, those two who are, at least in the 2 or 3 years that we've been doing HBCU Huddle, near the bottom, if not the bottom of the MEAC, it looks like they've elevated themselves a bit in the offseason. Plus, you still have your Howard, your North Carolina Centrals, and your South Carolina States, Morgan States of the world. I felt like the MEAC was a big-time winner, and I agree with you, Donald. I think that they will be a better overall conference. Now, does better overall conference mean anything extra to you? Does it mean that we get a couple of MEAC teams? Well, not a couple. A MEAC team ranked. It's been a while since we've had a ranked MEAC team. I don't think any MEAC team has been ranked post Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman leaving. North Carolina Central did get there.
Yeah,
so North Carolina Central got there. But outside of that, is there another one that you think can end up ranked not just in the Box to Row rankings, but in the FCS polls?
I'll tell you what, CJ, I'm really big, even though there's a couple of losses. And I think this game will be a test actually this weekend for both teams. The Morgan State-Hampton game. Look, I think Hampton is going to be good. It's just tough when you're playing in the CAA, right? Like Hampton was 5-6 last year, 3 wins in the CAA, which for Hampton is pretty good. Quarterback comes back. They got maybe one of the best running backs in the country that a lot of people aren't talking about in Elijah Burris. But I look on the other side with Morgan State. You got, Eric Hunter coming back. You got, Elijah Williams on the defensive line. Of course, Hunter is a linebacker, All-American linebacker. I think the running back situation is going to be.
Oh, come back to us, Donald. Oh, I think we lost him. We lost him. We're gonna try. We're gonna try and get him back to finish out that answer.
Yeah.
But it's back on him for a second. It's incredible to be able to say, "Hey, I've been covering HBCUs and doing this really cool thing for 20 years now."
Yeah.
Think about where media was, and think about where we were as a media consuming culture in 2004. There was no Facebook, there wasn't a Twitter, there wasn't an Instagram, there wasn't a TikTok, there wasn't a Snapchat. So how do you go about getting these stories out there?
Yeah.
And for him to be able to figure that out in 2004 and then adapt and change as media and that landscape changed as well is really, really impressive. Doing it, I might add, in a field that doesn't get the best coverage, that doesn't have the most information circling about readily available. It is hard to get accurate, up-to-date information still on these programs. For him to be doing that then and all the way to now, I definitely tip of the cap to Donal Ware, Mike.
I mean, you said it right there. And because he's been my brother for so long, man, and we've even before he started Box to Row, he was working in media relations for HBCUs and for other entities and companies as well too. He worked for a long time at North Carolina A&T as the sports information director. So, he was in this situation. This was his calling. This was his calling, and it's not easy. Sometimes, as he said, the economics and the funding isn't where he would want it to be, but he can't walk away from it because it's his legacy. And to see all of the coaches across HBCU Division I and Division II respect him enough to submit their ballots each week. For him to be able to get the storylines and the story makers and the news makers on his show each and every week.
Across the culture, right? Not just in football, not just in college basketball, other college sports.
He's had
across
NASCAR.
The culture.
He's had NASCAR racers on his program before. He's had golfers. For him to be able to reach out and touch all of these people and have them respect the brand that he's built speaks volumes, man. And I love him. I know his family. I consider him a brother. And I just want to congratulate him again, man. That's why we're fortunate to have him as a cousin of the show every week.
Donald,
we'll catch up with him again.
Donald, what were you saying about Morgan State? Oh, you don't have him.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Kyra, you tricked me. You tricked me.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Let's take a break.
Yep.
We'll try and get him back, finish up his thought, because I do want to hear what he has to say about Morgan State. And then we'll move on to our Culture Maker of the Week. And plus, we got our Pick Sixes coming up. So don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. We are HBC Huddle right here in the Built for Tough Studios on Grind City Media.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
GG gonna be just fine, bro. Like he probably, like Josh probably number 1, and he's probably number 2 most talented teammates I've ever had.
Just raw talent.
Like, bro, like
just go to the gym, hoop type talent.
Like you walk in the gym and he might be doing a workout, and you gonna look over and be like, damn.
The Chris Vernon Show, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering, to those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back in, everybody. We got him back. Donald's back on with us. Donald, what were you saying about Morgan State?
Yeah, I apologize, guys. No, I was just saying that I think that when you look at Morgan State this year, to me, Morgan may be the team. It's a dark horse. I think Morgan's a dark horse in terms of a team to beat. Again, you got Eric Hunter, you've got Elijah Williams on the defensive line. They lost some guys in the secondary, no doubt. But I think this is going to be a true test for both Hampton and Morgan State. And I expect Hampton to be pretty good, too, this year, playing in perhaps the best conference in all of FCSDC, the CAA. That is
Donal Ware. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us, Donald. Follow on Twitter at BoxerRow. Follow on the Tickety Talk as well at BoxerRow. I didn't know there was a Tickety Talk. Follow on Instagram, BoxerRow there as well. Curator of the BoxerRow media polls and just an absolute HBCU legend.
20 years in.
20 years in. Donald, thank you so much, man.
20 more to go.
No problem. Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike and CJ. Appreciate y'all very much. Thank you for your support, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Donald. Great interview from one culture maker to another. Let's talk about HBCU Huddle's culture maker for this week, and it is the Orange Blossom Classic, baby. It was played every year from 1933 to 1978. Then they took a bit of a break, Mike, and they came back in 2021. That is a long-ass break between games. Came back in 2021, usually features FAMU and an HBCU opponent. This year, there is no FAMU, though. This year's contest will feature Alabama State and North Carolina Central, played in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. We sat down with the executive director of the Orange Blossom Classic, Kendra Bullock Major, at SWAC Media Days. We talked to her about the excitement surrounding this year's game and more. Check it out.
Hey everybody, CJ Hurt and HBCU Huddle here at SWAC Media Days in Birmingham at the Sheridan downtown. Pleased to be joined now by Kendra Bullock Major, the executive director of the Orange Blossom Classic. Kendra, how's it been being here? And thank you so much for joining us first.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing. It's been great to see all of the teams and see the excitement around this upcoming season. So we're having a good time.
The thing, Orange Blossom is one of my favorite classics, because it's almost like a Daytona 500 type of thing, where the biggest game of the year is the first game. And for so long, it's been Jackson State and FAMU, and that has decided the not only the SWAC East, but the SWAC Championship and who's going to the Celebration Bowl. So they're both out this year, but you guys got another great matchup. The matchup this year between Alabama State, who we just found out was picked to finish first in the SWAC, and North Carolina Central, that could be a Celebration Bowl preview. What went into getting those two teams? How'd y'all pull that off?
So as you mentioned, FAMU and Jackson State have been in the OBC the last 3 years, and knowing that we were having to shift because of scheduling conflicts, you always look to see who that next potential matchup would be. I told Coach Robinson last night that every team that has played in the Orange Blossom Classic the past 3 years has gone on to represent their conference in the Celebration Bowl. And so when we looked at the standings, when we looked at where Alabama State was, when we looked at Alabama State in close proximity to the state of Florida, how they recruit Florida, the attendance, I tell people we definitely got what we believe to be comparable to what Florida A&M brings to the state of Florida. So I often joke and say that for some reason within Florida, if people didn't send their kids to FAMU, they sent them to Alabama State and Tuskegee. So we have that Alabama and Florida connection. So naturally, Alabama State was in the mix, and knowing that at the time they were number 3 in the SWAC East. And so North Carolina Central, knowing what they had done in the previous years, in the previous year with Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl, I was kind of surprised, no offense to Howard, but I was surprised by the Howard, right?
I think we all were.
Yeah, thank you. So it wasn't just me. So just, we thought that what we were doing was looking at that potential next Celebration Bowl contender. And I think that we definitely have a really good shot of them starting in Miami and finishing off in Atlanta.
So is this going forward, are these two teams permanent, or will you guys be looking at a rotation of teams going forward?
We will rotate. The beautiful thing about the original history of the Orange Blossom Classic was it was always Florida A&M against a different opponent. And so we will look at potentially going back there. We'll look at different teams. And what it does, we play in Miami, Labor Day weekend, nothing like being in beautiful South Florida for a holiday. We have a beautiful NFL stadium, home of the Miami Dolphins at Hard Rock, and we give these kids an opportunity, these student athletes, an opportunity to play on a stage that they may not otherwise have an opportunity to play on. These kids may not ever see an NFL stadium. And we have, of course, our relationship with ESPN, where the game has been televised on ESPN's main network the last couple of years. So we look at how we can bring in other HBCUs and give them the opportunity that, again, like I said, a lot of these student athletes may not have the opportunity to see. So we will rotate and do the best that we can to give as many people as possible an opportunity.
Awesome. Kendra Bullock Major, thank you so much for joining us on HBCU Huddle. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Special thank you again to the Orange Blossom Classic Executive Director, Kendra Bullock Major. Mike, it's a big game. It's Alabama State. It's North Carolina Central. You could be talking about these two again come December for the Black College Football National Championship and the Celebration Bowl. What are you looking forward to most about this matchup?
Week 0, MEAC SWAC Challenge. Week 1, this could be the MEAC SWAC Challenge again, part 2, right? And, they're doing it in the NFL stadium. That classic, and we were just talking about it a second ago, that classic is one that's really, really well run. They put it together. Mm-hmm. The city of Miami Gardens embraces this classic. Of course, they were used to and accustomed to having Florida A&M there. And it's tough not to have FAMU there. I covered this classic when I first got my college career. My career started covering HBCUs years ago. FAMU would always play South Carolina State or someone else, and they would play in that game. But to be able to have two marquee teams, two teams that one is expected to do big things in Alabama State, and the other is a recent national college champion, national HBCU champion in North Carolina Central. The competition is going to be great. The production is going to be great. They've been doing seminars and parties and fan central fan-centered events all week long leading up to the game on Sunday, and I can't wait to watch it. I wish I was there in Miami, man. Those are my old stomping grounds, but kudos to the Orange Blossom Classic crew for putting on a phenomenal production so far.
If you're going to be without Florida A&M, and you're this classic, so if you're specifically this classic without Florida A&M and without Jackson State too, I'll throw them in there as well, because the past, since the reiteration, has been FAMU and Jackson State. If you're going to be without those two, the two teams that you got, they are high on the list of teams for everybody to go out there and get to come play in their classic. When you think about Alabama State and North Carolina Central, for the reasons that you named, Mike. From one classic to another, let's go ahead and pivot to the Celebration Bowl. No,
that's at the end. We still at the beginning, CJ. We have week one.
I almost said it again. The Southern Heritage Classic, damn it.
Yes.
Let's pivot to the Southern Heritage Classic. They're getting an exhibit at the National Civil Rights Museum. The exhibit will include information and memorabilia artifacts from not just the Southern Heritage Classic, but from the 5 schools who have participated in the Southern Heritage Classic. Mike, I don't have the game show music yet, but can you name the 5? The 5 schools that participate in the Southern Heritage
participated historically,
Classic.
right?
Historically,
okay.
Yeah.
Tennessee State.
That's 1.
Jackson State.
That's 2.
UAPB.
That's 3.
Grambling.
Yep.
And Mississippi Valley.
There we go, Mike.
Hey, man.
Ding, ding, baby.
Hey, that just means I'm old. That just means I've been around HBCU football for 35 years. I covered the 2nd or the 3rd Southern Heritage Classic when they first got started.
What the hell haven't you covered?
I know, man. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. I only do shows about stuff I know about. You know what I'm saying? You get me on some other shows, man, and I can't go. But, yeah, man, that's a great legacy. And this is – I don't want anyone to underestimate what this means, because for the National Civil Rights Museum, which is on the Smithsonian list of top museums in the world, to have an exhibit highlighting HBCU, historically black colleges and universities, classic game here, the Southern Heritage Classic, even though both are located in Memphis, that's a big time cap tip right there. You know what I mean? And so if you're going to the Civil Rights Museum, check out that exhibit. If you're going to the Southern Heritage Classic, get over to the Civil Rights Museum. So it's a perfect way to partner two great entities that have done so much for the community in Memphis, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing not only the game, but also the exhibit as well.
Fred Jones was making his rounds. I think he was at WDIA earlier this week. So absolutely look forward to the Classic. Look forward to talking to him on this show. And look forward, maybe we can try. This is the best thing about the job, Mike, is getting the sneak peek. Maybe we can try and get in there before everybody else. And try and, or like get in there with nobody else around, maybe after everybody else gets some of the after hours stories to pop off, what these memorabilia mean, how you went about getting them, because I think that's truly a fascinating thing. So try and set something like that up. We've got the Pick Six set up now, Mike.
Okay.
Pick Six is back, baby. The football Pick Six. We've been doing Pick Sixes. We did 6 favorite black movies over the course of the summer. The Brothers was on the TV. Hot damn, I forgot how good a movie that was, Mike. I might have to redo it.
Oh, man.
The missus and I were talking. She's like, yo, you gonna give me your last piece of cake? No, I'm not. I love you. I'll go buy you a cake. I'll buy you a whole cake. But the last bite? Nah, nobody's getting. I'm eating that last damn bite.
No matter who.
No matter who. No matter what. But the Pick Six now is all about football and football games. Let's get things started with that matchup between Florida A&M and South Carolina State this weekend. So I took, with my Pick Six, I took South Carolina State over FAMU. FAMU, I am very, very, very concerned about what FAMU is right now. And I don't think they can continue to play with fire. They played with fire some last year. They played within the Celebration Bowl against Howard. There was another game where it was, what the hell is FAMU doing that I'm blanking on right now? They played with fire last week in week 0 against Norfolk State.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be able to play with fire with Coach Barry in South Carolina State. Now, I think South Carolina State beats FAMU in a close one and a fun one. Give me Tennessee State over Mississippi Valley State. Poor Valley. Then I will take Prairie View A&M to get their 10th straight Labor Day Classic win over Texas Southern. You brought it up. This will feel like the SWAC West is on the line week 1, which I love that feeling. And my SWAC West champion, everybody should know by now, is Prairie View A&M. I will take Morgan State over Hampton. I am interested in seeing, because I think both of these teams, like Donald, are going to be good. Dark horse, Morgan State. I'm also on that dark horse bandwagon. Give me Alabama State over North Carolina Central. That defense is going to be stout for Alabama State. I don't know much about not seeing these teams play. I don't know much about them, but I know Alabama State is going to have a damn fine defense. So somebody's going to have to show me they can move the ball, and you don't got Davius Richard in that backfield anymore. So give me Alabama State there. And then it's a couple of these types of games in the SEAC. SEAC and the CIAA are facing off a couple of times this week. Virginia Union and Kentucky State are playing. We don't have a pick on that one because that's not one of the games we decided to pick. I will say, I hope Virginia Union beat the hell out of Kentucky State. Give me Virginia State over Benedict. New coach at Benedict. I need to see what he's got and what he can do before I fully believe and embrace Benedict, Mike. So those are my picks. What about you?
I tell you what, CJ, we only differ on, I think, one game, right? And that's the one that starts off the top of the board, right? Hey, listen, you rallied pretty strong last year to come back and catch me. You did lose, but you rallied. Because briefly, I was way out ahead of you in the picks, and then you caught back up, and then at the end, I was able to outlast you. Kind of like FAMU versus Norfolk State.
I went for two a couple of times.
So if we go to my pick six now, we'll start off with the FAMU South Carolina State game. I picked FAMU over South Carolina State. I just think South Carolina State is coming into a new coaching staff, a lot of transfers. They need to figure themselves out. They could be a surprise. They got a chance to see FAMU and scout them in that first game, whereas FAMU doesn't know what to expect from South Carolina State. But I think FAMU just has something, man. They're not going to always win pretty, but they find a way to win just no matter what the circumstance is. So I'm going with Daniel Richardson and James Cozy, Coach Cozy out there again with these guys and these playmakers. I think they'll open it up a little bit more in week one, this week against South Carolina State. Tennessee State, Coach Coach Eddie George, man, the other person that was in the backfield. I think he gets out and really puts the hammer down over Mississippi Valley State. This is the John Merritt Classic. This is their first big game of the season over at the Titan Stadium there. And I really think that they finally show, okay, we competed for a Big South OVC championship, running last year. Now we got to beat up on the teams we're supposed to beat up on. I think they beat up on Mississippi Valley right now.
A tone-setting game.
Absolutely. It has to be. It has to be. Draylon Ellis, man, it's your last run. Go out there and get it done for Tennessee State. I'm with you. Prairie View A&M over Texas Southern. I really don't know what to expect from Texas Southern. I do know what I can count on from Prairie View. That team has always played to a certain standard. They're in just about every game. I think this game means a lot more to Prairie View than it does to Texas Southern. Chris Dishman is getting his career started off as the first-year coach at Texas Southern. McDowell has been there at Prairie View and A&M. I think he needs to win that game. Morgan State, just like CJ said, just like our cousin Donal Ware said, Morgan State is my dark horse team in the MEAC and basically in all of black college sports there. So I think they have a chance to really go out and do some things that they hinted at doing last year. Now they get over the finish line this year by getting some big-time wins, and I think they turn their season around under Coach Damian Wilson in his second season there. I got Alabama State over North Carolina Central based on faith. Yeah. I don't have any evidence that says Alabama State is going to do this, but based on faith and what they have lined up at quarterback, on defense, and with Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. Being one of the best coaches that's left here, I think he's going to be able to get it done on that neutral site down in Miami over North Carolina Central. And lastly, Virginia State over Benedict. Benedict lost his coach to South Carolina State at the top of the board right there. They're starting over with Chinnisberry gone to South Carolina State as the head coach. Virginia State knows what it is. They know how to run the ball. They know how to play tough defense, and I think they set the tone with the victory over Benedict right there. So we'll see.
That game could be a de facto D2 championship game.
It depends on what Benedict has back.
What Benedict ends up doing, and then the Virginia State can figure out Virginia Union and Jada Byers
at the end. Yes,
when it's all said and done. But that's another one of those week one games where it is, this is like good on good.
Yeah.
We not warming up to this. There's no preseason in college football. You just come out the gates running.
Yeah. For the most part, that's the case with all of those games, with the exception of Tennessee State and Mississippi Valley. But Valley could surprise you, man. Like, they've been down so long. At some point,
eventually
they're going to jump up.
Eventually,
and do something.
they'll do something.
For Eddie George's sake, I hope it's not against Tennessee State, though. For sure.
For anybody's sake, I hope it's not against them. You know how hot your seat gets with a loss to Valley?
Yeah.
That seat warms up a bit. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. We appreciate it. Thank you to Donal Ware. Thank you to you guys, the listeners. Thanks to Mike Wallace. Thanks to the Orange Blossom Classic Executive Director Kendra Bullock Major for joining the show as well. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, with the same type of content. It's football season, baby, and I love it. You can walk outside and you can kind of smell it in the air. You guys, everybody take care. Come back and see us again real soon. For Mike, I'm CJ. We'll talk to you later.